our dear viewers, and welcome to our show, Diet Myths. Today we'll be continuing the second part of our previous episode on weight control. And like I said, weight control is impacted by two things. So we have the type of food we eat, and then we have the food patterns. So that includes what time we eat, when we eat, and then what diet we choose to eat. So today we'll focus more on the patterns, what kinds of foods we're supposed to eat, and then these frequencies of these meals and these meal timings that could impact our weight control. So one of the main things I want to talk about is snacking. Now you'll see that, a lot of us have been snacking more often, especially when you have these longer hours at work where, snacks are just available for you to have within reach, and you just continue to consume them. Now, snacking could pose a problem, especially when you're snacking on the wrong food items. So it's very important to control your portions when you're snacking. And when you have big bags of foods, you tend to overeat from them. And research has shown that when people overeat, a certain snack or a certain food, that doesn't mean that they cut down on the foods they'll eat later on in another snack or another meal. So that just means that you will just continuously be overeating. So it's very important to control your portion. I always like to portion out foods, into small bags where I know how much is in that food and I know how much I should be eating. Otherwise, it could be so easy to get out of control and continuously picking on that food and eating more. Another food thing that we need to think about is what you're snacking on. Sometimes when you're snacking on the wrong foods, you could just be piling a lot of calories and not even realizing it. And of course, snacking on any liquid beverage that provides calories is a big no-no. Because like we said, we want to try to adopt this new thing of not, consuming any calories with our beverages. So we want our beverages to be 0-calorie fluids. Things like water and things like teas with no added sugar to them. So I want you guys to stay tuned. We're going to continue looking at other meal patterns and other, dietary habits that we can focus on to control our weight. Welcome back, our dear viewers. So now let's look more at these dietary patterns and what diets are out there. So I'm sure you've seen that throughout these different episodes, we've discussed many diets, many fad diets, many diets that could actually work if you actually tweak them. And one of my favorite ones that could help you control weight is the good old Mediterranean diet. So focusing a lot on these healthy fats. Like we've discussed in part 1 of this episode, nuts are key to maintaining your weight and actually losing some weight. So, we do advise that you increase the amount or actually start adding nuts to your diet, focusing more on these healthy oils. So things like olive oil and canola oil to boost the omega-3 and the omega-6s in your diet, and also focusing on fish. I think it's key, or one thing that we can try to do more of is try to consume more of fish throughout the week. And I always feel like the ideal situation would be to have red meat once or twice a week, chicken around 2 to 3 times a week, and then to cover the rest of the week around 3 to 4 times with fish. This way you will be ensuring that you get all these heart-healthy fats in the Mediterranean diet. And another thing that the Mediterranean diet really focuses on is greens. So lots of vegetables, and lots of vegetables eaten as they are. And you realize with the Mediterranean diet, all these food groups are included in every single meal. So one thing that I always tell a lot of our patients here at the Desman Diabetes Institute, try to focus on, meal planning and always giving your body some form of a system. So some form of regularity. I consume all the food groups for breakfast, and I consume all the food groups for lunch, and I consume all the food groups for dinner. This way, your body gets used to receiving all the nutrients it needs. It no longer needs to store fat for a starvation mode, or it doesn't need to panic, and it just is used to this system and equilibrium. Another topic that I really want to focus on is breakfast. Now, so much research has shown that, people that miss out on breakfast, and especially children, could, end up being obese or could increase their risk of becoming overweight or obese. So it's very important to include breakfast as a part of your meal. It's very important to include it daily and not to skip it sometimes. Now, I know a lot of people will tend to skip it on weekends or skip it, on school days because they just don't have enough time.
Which is worse, skipping breakfast versus a donut? Ideally, we'd all eat a perfectly balanced protein and fiber-filled breakfast every day. But if you're not a morning person, you may have better luck finding Ryan Gosling riding a unicorn than making sure you get all your pre-noon nutrients in. Ripping pectorals aside, eating breakfast is a wake-up call for your body that says, it's okay to burn calories now. Burn, baby, burn! And you do not want to press snooze on your metabolism. Eating a healthy breakfast will also give you the energy for your morning projects and, of course, your ongoing flirtation with the cute guy in IT.
Hello.
So which is worse? Turns out skipping breakfast is actually worse than downing that pastry. At least a donut will give you fuel to swing by the IT department for no good reason. One plain glazed donut is about 260 calories, and if you combine it with some protein, like skim milk, your blood sugar spikes are regulated. Eating that donut is certainly better than starving, which can lead to overeating, forgetting where you park, and just being a plain old hangry bitch to your coworkers.
And I always say, even if you're on a rush, something like a banana and a handful of nuts is always like a safe option, and you guarantee that you're getting all your nutrients. So we see that, when what we've discussed is that timing is key and amount is key. Now I want you guys to stay tuned because we're gonna look at other aspects of this, dietary pattern and how we can control our weight. Welcome back, our dear viewers. So let's start looking at other aspects of this dietary pattern and what we need to do to control our weight. So one of the main things that I want to talk about is, our frequent consumption of these fast food restaurants. So these fast food restaurants, provide us with huge portions, and it's so cheap to actually increase that portion size and oversize any meal you have. It's really yummy for many people, and it's very high in things like sodium and sugar. So these foods will definitely impact your weight, and so much research has been conducted, and people that consume fast food on a daily basis or even on a weekly basis can increase their risk not only of being overweight or obese, but could also increase their risk of developing so many diseases.
In an experiment in a restaurant, people were randomly seated near strangers who overeat. What happened? Those people started eating more too. It's called mindless eating. That's because behavior can spread like germs and have a big effect on your health. In the UK right now, there's an obesity epidemic, with over 2/3 of people overweight. Research has proved that the average obese person is more likely to have obese friends, and friends of friends, and friends of friends of friends who are also obese. In fact, if a mutual friend becomes obese, it triples your risk of being the same. You may not know him personally, but your friend's wife's co-worker can make you fat. So what's happening here? One reason is imitation, often unconscious. When you see someone eating, it fires up the same part of your brain as if you were actually eating. It's like our brains are practicing. And that makes it more likely we'll do such things in the future. Another reason is we reset our expectations. We look around our network and perhaps see people gaining weight, and that unconsciously adjusts our concept of an acceptable size. A larger body becomes more acceptable. That doesn't necessarily mean that you will put on weight as a result, just that unwittingly you may be less critical of a friend who is putting on weight.
And like we've said in so many episodes, it's really important not only for you to focus on your weight and your overall appearance, but also for you to focus on how, these foods make you feel. A lot of foods are so high in sugar, so you consume them and you're really happy, and then your body ends up crashing. And these, unsettling moves in your hormones and in your blood sugar levels aren't really good for you. Because what you eat should really be making you happy and should really be making you healthy. And that's the most important, key message here, is eating for a healthier lifestyle. So it's not only about weight, because we've seen so many people that could be underweight, yet they may, put themselves at risk for developing so many diseases. While other people could be, a bit chubbier, a bit on the overweight side, but yet they consume such a healthy diet. So, it's all about a key in balance, in amounts. So to make sure we eat the right amount, especially when we're snacking, because it could really get out of control then. Portion size is really key during meal times. And I always say, switch to a smaller plate or switch to a bowl where you can really, control the amount of food you put in it. When you have a larger plate, it's just super hard for you to control how much food you're putting in that plate. Another thing is the way we serve our food. A lot of us serve our food in that buffet style where you can put food, 2 or 3 or 4 times during your meals. And what I prefer is that you actually serve your food in the kitchen and then you just have a plated meal in front of you. That way, the amount of food you have is controlled and you can't really go back to get some more. So you see that there are little tricks or tweaks that we can do in our diet to improve how many calories we consume. And it's so easy to get out of hand and forget. And I always tell a lot of people, always drink water before a meal, because the signals, of thirst and hunger are really similar in the body and we get the same message. So unless, you drink water to test out whether you were really thirsty or hungry, you'll never find out. So drink a cup of water before your meals, limit the plate size, and be careful with your snacks. Those were the key messages for today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you all next time.